Welcome to Compleat Kidz Online, friendly discussions about autism and other developmental disabilities. Learn how working together is working better, one conversation at a time.
Welcome back to Compleat Kidz Podcast. This week we have Nicola Clarke, who is a BCBA of the remote type. I'll let her tell you about her and where she's from and all the good stuff. So could you give the audience a little 30-second bio?
Of course I can. So hello everybody, my name is Nicola. I am a Board Certified Behavior Analyst and I am based in Dublin in Ireland. I have two young kids, so remote working works really well on my behalf. And I also have a daughter who is on the spectrum as well.
I would have never guessed Dublin, Ireland based on the accent there, Nicola. Just explain to people that don't know, I think most of our people know about a BCBA, but explain a remote BCBA and how that works and how a typical session works with a remote BCBA.
Okay, so a remote BCBA works through telehealth services. So I provide coaching and support to the RBTs or to the behavior technicians. I update the programs online, and I provide feedback and behavioral intervention online through the Cure app.
So how do you observe a session?
And so I observe the session through the Cure app. So I log in, the therapist signs me in on their end, and I observe it that way.
And on the RBT or BT's end, that's normally like a pad, a tablet?
Yeah, so they can sign in on a tablet. That's correct. Yes.
Excellent. And then what is your interaction then with the on-site BCBAs?
I have a good relationship, particularly with the lead BCBA in the clinic. We would communicate regularly through the Teams app or through phone call. We can also communicate through email, and we would communicate on a regular basis. We also have team meetings once a month, so that everybody's working off the same page, basically.
And they'll help guide and vice versa what's going on for a particular learner.
Of course. So if I'm having some trouble on my end, sometimes it's best to have somebody in the clinic that can maybe work on a particular behavior and give me some feedback so that I can implement some interventions maybe on their rethink.
And then you'll have contact with the parent of learners that you're in charge of?
I do. So I have a wonderful relationship with my parents, and I make contact with them at least once a week. And I provide coaching to them on a regular basis, providing them with strategies and interventions that they can also use in the home environment.
And that's also normally done on a video chat type of?
It can be done on a video chat, or it can be done through phone call either.
Mm-hmm. So you're a couple time zones away.
Sure.
Explain how that is. I'm sure there's some pros and some cons.
Well, there are a lot of pros on my behalf. So you guys are 5 hours behind, but it works out really well for myself because I'm a full-time mom in the daytime, and then from 5 o'clock Irish time, I go to work until 11 p.m. So it works really well to my benefit in that way. But sometimes I can get a little bit confused with the time zones, and I have to make sure that I have the correct time for my sessions.
So it's basically like working second shift, if you will.
It sure is.
So I'm assuming that's also good on our end, because now you can cover, some time frames that maybe on-site BCBAs would not be able to cover.
That is correct. So I mostly cover the afternoon sessions. I do some morning times on Thursdays and Fridays, but it is mostly the afternoon sessions, which not all on-site BCBAs can facilitate.
So your credentials, your certification and all that kind of stuff, is that an international thing? Did you have to get certified through the United States? How does that work? That allows you to work, even remotely in the United States?
So I'm a Board Certified Behavior Analyst, so I can basically work anywhere. But I am also licensed in North Carolina, so I have a license to work in North Carolina as well.
But your certification more or less allows you to work worldwide?
Yes.
Excellent. So what's your favorite part about the job?
Oh, I just love watching my learners grow. I love seeing the impact that applied behavior analysis has on the life of a learner that has a diagnosis of autism. I love my engagement with my parents. I love being able to coach them. I love watching the environment transform at home, and how that helps the learner to grow.
And you could be honest, what's some of the challenges of being a BCBA?
It can sometimes be a little bit difficult, particularly online, being a remote BCBA. If maybe a behavior is occurring in the clinic, it can be a little bit difficult with regards to guiding the therapist at that point in time. So we just need to make sure that we have really good communication during the session.
So I'll start with the remote specific BCBA. I'll start with the negative. You just mentioned one, but expound on that and also talk about some maybe other challenges of being a remote BCBA.
So I suppose sometimes it's hard to communicate. So communication can sometimes be quite difficult, particularly living in a different time zone. So we do have different communication strategies, such as writing updates on Teams or communicating with therapists through the Teams application. I don't really find a lot of negatives working as a remote BCBA. I find it to be quite flexible. Myself.
Well, that's my next question. So what's the good?
Well, I think it's really, really flexible. And I really enjoy that aspect. And if a client cancels, I can just input another client into that session slot. So yeah, I just think it's wonderful being a remote BCBA. And also I suppose when you're online and you're supervising, there's nobody there to distract you because you're not in clinic. So my sole focus is on that supervision session.
So that is a positive even for the learner. It seems like about, your focus is 100% on the learner. And
Yes.
I assume the technician.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So just talk briefly about, parents, sometimes maybe they might be a little bit nervous at first. I'm sure, all your parents are used to it and, think it's no big deal. And in some cases, maybe think it's actually better. But just talk, I'm a new parent and I'm going to do this basically telehealth thing with a BCBA. And I'm just a little nervous about that.
Okay. So sometimes parents can be a little bit nervous with regards to working with the BCBA through telehealth. However, I think that, the benefits are as good as being an in-person BCBA. We do provide a lot of support. If a parent does need extra support out of the parent training session that they do get, once or twice per week, we can provide extra support in that regard. And we also provide the parent with a lot of visual materials for the home setting, and work on different functions of behaviors with the parents at home, or different strategies or behavioral interventions that they may use in the home setting. And we do make sure that we go through the targets and the behavioral strategies in depth with parents so that they know exactly what's going on. And then we can also provide them with feedback in every parent conversation so that they know exactly what targets their child is working on in the clinic.
So what are some things, for, like I said, a new parent that maybe they need to prepare for, or do maybe a little bit of upfront homework for someone that is getting ready to have their child serviced by a remote BCBA? What are some advice basically, and things that maybe they can do up front to get ready to make the transition a little smoother?
I don't think that they necessarily need to do any homework. I think that they just need to be present. I think that they need to be honest with themselves and with the BCBA, and I think that they just need to be ready to get to work and to do the homework that is provided by the BCBA. Sometimes I suppose it can be difficult for parents to take the time out, because I think that everybody is busy, particularly in this present day. But it is really beneficial for parents and the BCBA to link in at least once a week, whether that be for half an hour or for an hour, just to discuss how everybody is moving forward. And, we all need to come together for the child.
So it seems like you answered my last question. I was going to ask, what's the number one thing that parents can do to maybe improve the program? And it sounds like you're saying just be available and be involved.
It's really important to be available and to take that time out and to work closely with your BCBA. I do think that, if you create an environment and work on strategies that is also worked on in the clinic, it really benefits and transforms the life of that learner.
So do you see a difference, and I've heard this from other BCBAs, with a parent that is engaged versus a parent that is not engaged? Does that affect the outcomes of the program?
I wouldn't say it affects the outcome of the program. I think that BCBAs work to the best of their ability with the learner, and so does the RBT.
Well,
However,
let me rephrase that, Nicole. I said it the wrong way. Do you see a difference in the progression of the child depending on how engaged the parent is?
I do. I would see a lot of improvements in the home environment,
Right.
with a parent who may work on different behavioral strategies in the home environment with their child.
Yeah, I hear that a lot from BCBAs. Just, if the more engaged the parent, the more involved the parent, usually the better results they see for the child.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to, put out on this worldwide podcast to let any nervous parents or even potential remote BCBAs be aware of?
Well, I would encourage remote BCBAs to apply and work for Compleat Kidz if they do get that opportunity. I think that the remote work is particularly fantastic, and it's something that I really enjoy. If you are a parent and your child is coming to Compleat Kidz, we welcome you, and we do work to the best of our ability with all learners, and we do everything that we can to try and help the different learners that we have in the clinic, and also provide that parent coaching and parent feedback so that parents also feel comfortable in our presence.
So I apologize. I didn't prep you for this one. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. We always, as you know, at Compleat Kidz, we have the little superheroes that represent the different disciplines: ABA, SLP, PT, and OT. So we always end the podcast with asking our guest, if you could have any superpower in the world, what would that be, and why would you pick that superpower? It doesn't have to have anything to do with being a BCBA. It could just.
Okay, well, my superpower would be telepathy. So that is the ability to read people's minds. And I will apply it to my job, because if I had the ability to read my learner's mind before, they may be engaged in a behavior, I do think that would be beneficial on my behalf. And I think I would also really enjoy if I could read their mind when they are in maybe a social situation, and it would, let me gain more insight into their feelings.
Yeah. And then I know sometimes communication for our kids is difficult. So I get that. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for giving us some insight to the world of the remote BCBA, specifically at Compleat Kidz. We really appreciate you coming, and we hope to have you back.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Bob. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Is end recording.
To continue the conversation, visit the links to our website, Facebook page, or Instagram in the comments.